Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, good
Yeah,
evening.
yeah, yeah. Good evening. Yeah.
Yeah, hi,
Hope,
Kiran.
yeah. Hi, hi. So I hope that you're all fine in this pandemic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great, 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 great. Okay. First of all, let me introduce myself as Mr. Kiran Kumar. I do have experience for 5 years in Splunk. Okay, real-time experience, and do have overall experience of 15 years. Okay. So I reside in Hyderabad. So this is about me in short, actually. So that is the thing. As I have pinged you already in the WhatsApp messages, I will be taking both admin as well as development, right? So admin part and
We
development.
provided emphasis is one, there are two issues. One is not a bug, and other is still instability.
Excuse me. Hello. Hello. Yeah. So as specified in the WhatsApp group, I will be taking admin as well as development both. Okay. And I will be taking and I'll be completing that within 35 sessions. Okay. So as far as admin is concerned, so I will be discussing right from installation of the Splunk, both in local system as well as in AWS cloud. Okay. And in AWS cloud, we will be using Linux with Ubuntu flavor because most of the companies use that only, right? So most of the companies use that only, and we will be also using that only. So even though if you do not know Linux commands, no need to worry. I will be specifying that wherever required and whatever that is required for our Splunk. Okay. So no need to worry about that. So that is the installation thing. And I will be specifying how to do in Windows using Putty, in Linux and Mac, all those things. So that is the installation thing. And after that, I will be specifying the configurations for all the components of this Splunk, including the clustering of search head and the clustering of index and all those things. And again, when it comes to configuration, I will be specifying in three modes actually. One is from the front end, another is from the CLI command line interface, and third one is from the writing in the configuration files. So wherever it is required and wherever it is feasible, then I will be telling all those three modes actually. So it will be useful even in the entry point of view also. So somebody will be asking how to write in the command line interface, and somebody will be asking to write in the configuration files, all those things. So it will be useful in the interview aspect as well. And not only that, even if you go to production also, when you go for admin, actually the front end will be disabled actually. So then you have to work only in the back end only using configuration files or command line interface. Then it will be very useful at that point in time if you know all those things, right? That is the thing actually. And apart from that, I will be specifying all the updates and the deployments for all the components. Okay, including the deployment of the client, deployment of the components of Splunk as a client to the server, deployment server, all those things. Okay, so that comes to the admin part actually. And when it comes to the development part, I will be specifying clearly SPL. Actually, I will be discussing about SPL. It is not SQL, it is not structured query language, which is in Oracle or MySQL or SQL Server. It is not structured query language. It is SPL, Splunk processing language. So with that only we will be searching the queries actually using the search head. So that is very important, and I will be discussing in the admin part clearly how to write SPL queries, and I will be discussing the commands, the transforming commands, the other important commands, all those things I will be clearly specifying. And I will be also discussing about the regular expressions, how to write regular expressions, how to create alerts, how to create cron jobs also I'll be discussing. In alerts also, how to in schedule alerts and real-time alerts also I'll be discussing. And again, dashboards, both static dashboards as well as dynamic dashboards, I will be explaining how to do. So whatever there is in development thing, I will be specifying. Even the visualizations, graphs, charts, how to create all those things, I will be specifying. So all these things I will be completing within 35 sessions actually. So, and for a week, I will be taking 5 sessions. Okay. So this will be the agenda for the program actually. So it is clear, right, till now? So about the program. Okay. So next, when coming to the job market, actually, it is very good right now for Splunk. So more number of calls are coming nowadays for Splunk, and it is very easy also to crack an interview. It is not as difficult as that. Actually, it is easy. Only thing is that you should be good in that. If not, if you're not perfect, you should be good at least in that one. Even the interviewers are also expecting the same thing. Actually, they are expecting that you should know, you should have the knowledge in all the things, and you should have especially hands-on. That's it. Even though if you put fake also, they do not bother. And even though everybody knows that, actually, even when we are doing interviews also, we'll also knows that. But the thing is that the candidate should be good enough so that he can at least do the things, he can cope up in the environment or not, they will check. That's it. And the scenario may differ after 1 year or 2 years, because it may get stagnant again, just like other programming languages and all. Just like this Java and .NET, again, if it gets stagnated, then the scenario may be different after 1 or 2 years. So this is the correct time, in my opinion, to do Splunk actually. So it's a great job you have taken a good decision to learn Splunk. So that is a good decision actually. So when coming to the salaries, actually, even a 1 to 2 years experienced guy can get around 40,000 rupees INR per month. So for a 4 to 5 experienced guy, he can get around 70 to 80,000. And even if the experience increases, the salary also increases. So even for more experienced people, they are ready to pay up to 1.5 to 2 lakhs per month also. So that is the potential for Splunk job market right now. So it is very good actually. The only thing is that you should work hard, and you should have the sufficient knowledge, and you should have the hands-on. You should have complete knowledge in all the things. That is the only thing. Okay. So, and again, if you think about the prerequisites, there are no prerequisites at all for this Splunk. And as you also might know, that there will be no coding in this one. So that is an advantage. So everybody, even non-technical graduates also can do this Splunk actually. There is no experienced or there is no freshers kind of thing. As I said earlier, they are only seeing that how you can cope up with the environment and how you know the things. That is the only thing that matters actually. Okay. So there is no prerequisites for this one. So as at the same time, one should not take it for granted that as there is no coding, one should not think that that is easy actually. So actually the learning curve is more. So there is this is a good important network question also for freshers especially. What is the disadvantage of Splunk? They will ask. The disadvantages of Splunk are its license and the learning curve actually. So the Splunk will have a high learning curve when compared to its competitors. When compared to other logging tools, it will have large learning curve because the stuff is more in this one. So as the stuff is more, as more number of features are there, naturally the learning curve also will be more. So one should not take it light that there is no coding in this, and they should not take it for granted that it is easy, but they should work hard, and they should get the sufficient knowledge in the subject. That will be sufficient. Okay. So I want to specify these things. So it is clear, right? So till now it is clear how the job market will be and all those things. Okay. Now, if we move into this Splunk actually, so if we move into our Splunk, the screen is visual, right? For you, for everyone? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Kiran.
Yeah. So some people calling Splunk in the market as logging tool. Okay. What is that logging tool? Some people will be calling it as SIEM tool. What is SIEM? SIEM, you know? SIM is nothing but security
information event
yes,
management.
yes, exactly correct. Security information and event management tool. Okay, so some people will be calling it as infrastructure management tool. Management tool. Some people will calling it as application monitoring tool. If you go on saying like this, some people will call it as even reporting tool as well. Reporting tool. It is more beyond the reporting tool, but they will call it as reporting tool as well. So whatever you give the name to this Splunk, whatever you give the name, whether it is a logging tool, you may call it as a logging tool, you may call it a SIM tool, you may call it as an infrastructure tool, application monitoring tool, reporting tool, whatever you may call, Splunk does only one thing. What is that? It converts log files into structured data. What is that? It converts log files into structured data. So what are log files again? Do you have any idea?
Which contains
server log.
Yes. Events.
Yes, correct. So log files are nothing but machine generated files actually. So again, if you ask what is machine generated files, the files which contains the files which what we say, the operations and the activities that is performed by these missions, actually these files will contain that information actually. So for example, if we talk about, if you take a programming language like PHP, okay, it contains, it is an application, right? It contains, for example, PHP website is there. So if a website is there like this, so it will be having a web server. So for a web server, it will be having a web server. So whatever the operations that are available over here, whatever the operations and activities that are within the website, it contains within this web server in the form of log files. In the form of log files. Okay, here the log files will be there. So whatever, for example, if you open a website, in the first place itself, if you open the website, some hundreds of log files will be storing here. Similarly, if you click that, if you click a submit button, again log files will be storing here. If you scroll the website, also log files will be collecting here. And even if you move next page also, see, for every action you will be having, log files will be generating. So this is not the case of only the website only. So in PHP, that is not the case of PHP only. For every website, just like in .NET IIS, in PHP, Apache web server will be there, whereas in the .NET we'll be having IIS web server. So for every programming language, the web server will be there, and it will be storing these log files. This is one thing. Okay, web server. So apart from this web server, there are several things like operating system. Okay, whereas this also stores log files. So, and again, even devices also, if you take a router also, it will contain, it will also contain the log files. Even switches. even sensors. So all the kinds of devices or machines which it contains software will have log files. You can simply remember like that. Okay. So the all the kinds of machines or devices which contains a software. Software means not a big thing. Even if it contains even chip, also it will be storing these log files. So this is the thing. So now what our Splunk do, it will convert these log files into structured data. So now how we can define Splunk? A Splunk is a software which searches, analyzes, and visualizes the machine generated data or the log files into structured data. So again, what is structured data? Structured data is nothing but the data which is converted into rows and columns. So whatever the data which is converted into rows and columns is called as a structured data. So now you may get a doubt over here. So Kiran, this is fine, okay. So why the structured data at all? So what is the need of analyzing the structured data at all? You are telling that Splunk will analyze this structured data, it searches, analyzes, and visualizes these log files and produces the structured data. Why this unstructured data? Why to analyze this unstructured data at all? Already we are having several databases in the market, right? We are having great databases like Oracle. So we are having databases like SQL Server, MySQL, all those kinds of stuff. Even nowadays there is NoSQL also. For programming languages, you need not whatever the design you have for your particular front end. Similarly, you can design the database, right? So that is the thing that is happening right now. So that much sophisticated NoSQL databases are also there. So why this unstructured data at all? Why to analyze this data at all? You may get a doubt like that. So if you have that question, I will have an answer for that. For suppose, take an example of a developer. Okay, a developer is there. He is developing some code. Actually, he is trying to play a video in a website. So that video is on a different server. Okay, so that video is on a different server, and he is trying to give a hyperlink to that particular server. Actually, so he has given that, that is working fine. But after some days, after some months, okay, the server got down. The video where the server is in the server there, right? The video which is available in that particular server, that server went down. So now, does the video play over there? It doesn't play, right? The video doesn't play. So now, does the programmer knows that one? He doesn't know. He daily doesn't check it, right? He daily doesn't check. Once after testing is completed, he will leave like that only. Everybody will not care about that. So who will know then? Only the end user who clicks that particular video. If it is not playing, then he only knows that. The end user will know that, and he then escalates. He escalates the problem that the particular video is not playing in your website. But it is bad, right? If the end user escalates the problem, it is bad. So now how to avoid this problem? So if we have Splunk in the organization for that kind of situation, so if that web server is connected to this Splunk, actually, if that web server is connected to this Splunk environment, then what we can do, it will analyzes the log files over there, and it will get a status. Because the server is not working, it will get a status. If status is 200, it is said to be working. If other than 200, it is said to be not working. Actually, that will be the thing. So if it finds the status other than 200, it catch hold of that, and it generates. We can generate what we call alerts, okay, and send through mails or through tickets, whatever it may be, to that particular coding team. So now they will be happy. Is it correct or not? The coding team will be happy, even though otherwise they would not have known that problem at all, unless and until the end user escalates the problem. Is it right or wrong? So that is the thing, actually. So that is the use of using Splunk. So in that scenario, we can use Splunk, actually. So where you cannot get the error from the application side or from the database side, because it is not a critical error, or it is not a syntax error. In programming languages, what does it happen? Only when it is a syntax error or it is a critical error, then only it will be showing the errors, actually. Otherwise, you cannot get the error. So in this kinds of situations, Splunk will do a great job, and everybody's life will become easy. Okay, this is one thing. actually. I will tell you another example as well. Suppose you are browsing a e-commerce website, just like Amazon or Flipkart. Okay. So you are browsing for some shirts or for a good dress, so actually. So you do not, you have not got registered in that particular website. In Amazon, you have not got registered, but still you are searching. You are still searching the dresses over there. You are just scrolling. You are just scrolling, and you are searching the rates. You are searching the price tags. You are searching the various models and various designs of the shirts. Okay, for some 15 minutes you have searched like that, and you have not bought anything over there. Okay, you're not registered in the website, and you're not even bought the particular product also. If you bought some particular product, then you have to get registered, but you're not done both the things, so that is fine. So the next day morning, if you have opened another website and if you are browsing, you will be seeing the ads pertaining to that one, to that particular dress which you have seen yesterday. Correct or not? You will be seeing those websites, you will be seeing those ads, right? So how does it happen? Because it happens through the log files. So whatever the log files that are while you have opened the Amazon website and you started searching, automatically log files have been generated. So when the log files have been generated, what they will do, they will capture the IP address from that particular log files, and then they have analyzed the data. So much particular time you have, for some 15 minutes you have searched the website over there, and you have clicked these many things, you have searched these things. All those things they will analyze, and they came to know about your interest, and that's why they are able to show you ads on the next day in the other website as well. So that is the potential. See how much great thing it is. It is doing a great business for that particular site, right? So they can improvise easily their business. Now they say that today there is a discount offer, you can buy it. Now you get tempted and you will go and buy that particular product. Correct or not? So this will be the thing. So that's why this is how Splunk will be used. Okay, this is how Splunk will be used in real-time organizations, in real-time situations, or in big organizations. Okay, so now you say that okay, it is fine. Okay, so now where should be this Splunk should be used? So how now we have known that how this Splunk should be used. So where should this Splunk is used? Now we have got a question. So it is used in all the sectors, actually. Everywhere it will be used. For example, take a banking sector, take a finance, take infrastructure, take technology. Of course, it will be useful. Even in education, even in government sectors, everywhere. Where is the data not growing nowadays? Tell me, where is the data not growing? So if, for example, if you take a small institute in Amirpet, if you're an Hyderabadi, if you take a small institute in Amirpet, what does those people do? If you go to those people, if you are joined for core Java over there, what does those people do? They will take your contact number, right? They will take your contact number, email. So even after completing the course, they will delete that details. No, they won't delete that. Why? Because tomorrow they will launch advanced Java course. Okay, when they launch advanced Java course, they will again call you, saying that again we are starting advanced Java course. It is very good for the job search. Please come and join. So they will be piling up of data like that one, because it will be useful for the future. So if that is the case of a small institute in Amirpet, then think about large organizations like giants, like e-commerce, like Amazon or Flipkart, all those things. So the data will be growing more. The data will be growing more, always remember, as there is big data, there will be Splunk. Okay, and some people will have doubt that how much long this Splunk will exist, whether it exists. So many tools competitors are there. Tomorrow those competitors will come again. Okay, tomorrow those competitors, if those competitors will come again, Splunk is it already proved, right? It already proved as a #1 tool in the market right now. So it won't sit idle. Even if it won't be, it will be at least for 5 years in the market as a #1 tool. But even in the worst case, if another tool also comes, Splunk won't sit idle, right? It also improvises. It also get new features. Even now also, if you see month by month, it is improving. Something they are improving. Some new version is coming in Splunk actually. So that is the aggressiveness of Splunk right now. So similarly, even tomorrow, if other tool comes also, it will also improve. So no need to worry. Up to 5 years, there will no worry for Splunk. Okay, no need to worry for the jobs thing. Okay, so that is the thing. So again, so now you ask Kiran, so is it feasible for small organizations or large organizations? So if you ask like that, I will say for both of it, it is very good actually. Why? Because consider a small organization, for example. In a small organization, if you consider actually, suppose you are a CEO of an organization for a team of 10 members, okay? So if you are in your organization, if you want to monitor all those 10 members manually, is it possible for you? It is very difficult, right? You can't manually go and check. Okay, so whatever they are using in their systems, actually, whatever tools they are using, whether they are using any e-commerce sites or whether they are using any social media sites, if you want to check, it is very difficult. Even though if you have CC cameras, they will check whether they are in the seats or not, but they can't exactly get what is there in the monitor, right? And of course, and some people are so smart that they will be minimizing their screens, right? And they will be using only to the 1/3 of the screen, to the taskbar just above 1 or 2 inches above. I have seen several people, they will be using above the task only 1 or 2 inches above the taskbar, and they will be seeing or listening songs or seeing YouTube videos like that. So such type of things people will be seeing. So in that case, how do you know about those people actually? So but if you install Splunk in their systems, okay, they need not know about that. If you install Splunk in their machines, it can automatically capture the events, and in your system you can directly see those events. For example, if you get a event name with name YouTube, what does it mean? A particular person is viewing YouTube. If you get a name with Facebook, what does that mean? The particular person is seeing Facebook. Right or wrong? So this is the thing, so that it is easy for you to catch hold of the thing. This is in one way it is useful like that in small organizations. Even it is a non-IT organization, okay, even a small organization and a non-IT organization also, it will be useful like that. That is the scenario. So if for large organizations, we have seen there is no need to say again. So that is the thing. Okay, consider another example. So for example, say have you ever happened like this for you actually? um, when you have opened when you are searching in again e-commerce sites, the product has not been placed but the amount has been cut. Sometimes it happens like that, right? The product has not been placed but the amount has been cut. Okay, then what do you do? Anybody can answer. If the product has been if the product has not been cut and amount has been cut, then what do you do at that particular point in time? Hello?
Yeah, we reach out to the customer care.
Yeah. You reach out to the customer care. Yes, correct, exactly correct. So at that particular point in time, what does the customer care person tell? So sir, it will take 3 days, 3 to 10 working days. If banking sites are there, they will say 10 days, right? Especially now it is happening very fast actually. Nowadays it is happening very fast, especially when you go back 2 to 3 years, it was happening exactly like this. They will be saying, sir, it will taking at least 3 years, 3 days time. So why they will be saying like that? Because whenever you tell your problem that the amount has been cut but the order is not placed, then what they will do, they will place that query to the development team. Okay, so the development person, what they will do, they will check the code and they say that from our side there is no problem. The development team says that from our side there is no problem at all, everything is correct. So we'll pass it to the next team. What is that again? They'll pass it to the testing team, say. So testing, Again, the testing guy, he says that already it is tested code. There is no problem with us. So from our side, there is no problem, he says. And again, they will pass that to the admin or the team manager or the team leader. Okay, so who deploys the code? So then what does the team leader does? He will check all the deployments. So he is the person who has deployed the code, right? So he will check again the deployments, whether any file has been missed or not. So he will be checking all those deployments, and he finds that everything is fine. Now they will check in the database, and there also they find, if they find that is correct, then they will come to a conclusion that okay, there is some problem with the customer side only. While ordering, there is some issue. That's why the product has not been placed, but the amount has been cut. And then they will check into the database. Actually, they will check into the database, and they will find the inventory of that particular day. They will find the inventories of that particular day. If there is no change in the inventory, then they will check for the amount generated for the particular day. So if the product has not been, if the inventory is like that only, and if they got some extra amount, then what does it mean? It means that they have got extra money. So the customer money has been cut. That's why they have got extra money. Like that, they will decide, and then they will give that back, that money. That what it happens earlier. That's why it was taking so much of time. But in our scenario, if you use Splunk, what does it happen? So we have got 4 things, right? So the first one is the first one is, what is that? The development team, which is nothing but the web server. Okay. So the second one is testing server. The third one is, what is that? Deployment server. Okay. So the fourth one, what is that? It is the database server. So now these 4 things are there, right? So earlier, what does it have? It was happening. So if there's a problem, it was everything was they were testing it again, and they will passing it to the other things, from the web server to testing server, testing to deployment, deployment to database, like that. So now if we connect these all servers to a common place, to a common storage place called as a Splunk instance. Okay. Splunk instance. So this web server is connected to this Splunk instance. This testing server is connected to this Splunk instance. On the deployment server is also connected to this Splunk instance. So, and database server is also connected to this Splunk instance. Okay. Now it is monitoring live. All this data is coming live into the Splunk instance. Now in our Splunk environment, actually, see, everything is every component, it is a Splunk only. In the Splunk, this every instance we'll call it different names. I will be telling you in the next classes. So right now you can remember it as a Splunk instance. So another Splunk instance will be there, which is called as search head. Okay, it is also Splunk only. It is also Splunk, but we'll call it as a different name, search head. So the user, what does it do? The user means not the end user. The developer will be there, right? The Splunk, Splunk developer will be there. What he will do? He will be writing some SQL query. Okay, he will writing that SQL query, and then what happens? It searches in the real time. It searches that particular SQL query, and it go to this Splunk instance, and it gets the data, and and what does it do? For example, what we are finding over here, we want to get the errors, right? We want to find out the error, what happened. So in the search head, the developer will be doing? He will be writing a SQL query for getting some errors in the, either it may be from web server, or it may be from testing server, or it may be deployment, or it may be from database. So in all these four things, he's trying to get some errors. So now what it will do? It will search for the errors over here, this Splunk instance, and place in this, and place in a report kind of thing. Okay, in an alert, or a report, whatever it may be. Say, consider for example in an alert, it places all these things in an alert. Okay, so where this alert will be passed to the, this alert will be passed where? To that, wherever there is an error. So for example, if there is an error in the web server, it will be passed over there. It will be passed over there. Okay. For example, if there is errors in testing server, it will pass over there. So through how it will pass? Through mails, or through tickets, or through, sometimes in this Splunk instance itself, they can be created, or some jobs like that, they will be passed to that particular departments or servers. Okay. So like this, it will be passed. See now, they actually, in the real time, it is getting searched. See, whatever the data that is coming from the web server, it is getting in this common instance, right? Splunk instance. This from testing server, again it is getting in the common instance. Deployment server, again the same, and in database server, again the same. And it is, and the search it, what it is doing, it searches the dynamically, it searches the queries, and it is producing the alerts over here. So again, these are, it is saying that here this Splunk instance won't do anything actually. It won't rectify. It highlights the errors. If any errors are there, whatever the developer has specified in the search head, actually in the SQL query, it fetches those things, and it will be specifying these things to the particular server, to the particular teammates, actually to the departments. So there is an error, so that now it is easy for them to rectify the problem. Within minutes itself, problem will be rectifying. So that's why nowadays it is happening so fast. So the processing speed has been increased. Okay, the waiting time has been reduced. Okay, the customer satisfaction has been increased. See how many benefits by using this Splunk. So that's what that's how the business grows, right? That's what the business people think. They want immediate results with fast processing. Correct or not? So this is the thing. This is the thing where the Splunk will be useful. Okay. So if we think that where is this Splunk useful in these scenarios, even in large organizations we have seen, in small organizations also we have seen. So this is the thing where the Splunk will be useful. So now we have seen for errors. So it need not be only for errors actually. It can be, for example, if you want to generate some knowledge objects also, we can also do that. For example, if you want to, for suppose there is a HR department, right? In every organization, HR department will be there. So if you want to get some information about the data, and if you want to generate some reports to the management, what you can do? For example, say again, we have got, we are getting data from the web servers. Okay. And again, we are getting data from the, what we say, testing servers. The data which is forwarding from here will be called with a different name. In the subsequent classes, I will be clearly explaining all those things. For now, I am telling in the normal layman ordinary terms. Actually, I'm calling these as servers. These are calling is different names. Actually, we will call with different names. We'll be discussing about that all those things in the subsequent classes. This is, for example, say some network server. So if the HR data is coming from these log files actually, so into our Splunk environment, this is our Splunk instance. So is connected over here. So test server is also connected to the Splunk environment. Networking server is also connected to the Splunk environment. So now the data, into this centralized location, the data will be stored. The HR data will be stored from the web server, test server, and network server into this central location. Now our search head is there, right? Our searching thing is there, right? So what does it do? So this is the search head. So I'll also show this 1 minute. So for example, so once the SPL query has been given, it will search here, right? It will search here. Okay. So how to write, how the SQL query will be also, I'll explain 1 minute. For example, index equals to, if you have something like HR department, right? HR department means employee data, index equals to employee data. Okay. Source type equals to, what is this index, what is this source type, all these things I will be explaining you, no need to worry. Source type equals to some salary data. Okay. Pipe symbol. I will go for top salary, say EMP ID, EMP name, EMP designation. Okay, so that is sufficient. So a SPL query looks like this. An SPL query looks like this. So index equals to EMP data, source type equals to salary data. What is index? What is source type? I will be discussing clearly in the subsequent classes. Pipe symbol, what is pipe symbol? Where we have to use pipe symbol? Top. Now, top is the command. So where we have to use top command. So by using top, we will get the top salaries in the descending order. From topmost to descending order we'll get. That's why I have specified salary beginning and then employee ID, employee name, and employee designation thereafter. Okay, and also we'll get 10 records as I have specified on top. All those things I will be discussing in the development part whenever we will get that thing actually. Okay. So by using this query, this Splunk instance will be searched. By using this query, this Splunk instance will be searched, and then we'll be having a report here. So what report we will be having? So EMP ID. Okay. EMP name. EMP designation. And again, what is left? Salary. So like that, we'll get a report over here. So this report can be used for, again, this report can be used for various knowledge objects. It can be used for charts, graphs, and we can use it dashboards, okay, and all those kinds of stuff from the same report. So like this, we can be used. So this again, this thing can be converted into knowledge objects, just like visualizations, graphs, charts, dashboards, all those kinds of stuff. So this is the usefulness of Splunk. And again, if you think that this is the only usefulness of Splunk, then you are mistaken. Why? Because if you use Splunk like this, it is a mere reporting tool, right? If you use Splunk for this purpose, I have shown you for an example, because you can generate data like this. You can get the information from log files, and you can generate reports and all, and you can generate knowledge objects also. But if you use Splunk only for this, then it is not the case where we have to use this Splunk. A mere reporting tool can do that. But what does this Splunk do? It can analyzes the data. It can analyzes the log files, and it can find out the errors, and it can instantly send it to the instantly send so that the error can be rectified. So the free flow of the data, where this Splunk has to be used. This Splunk will analyze the data, and it will converts the errors into non-errors. Actually, it won't convert directly, but it will be specifying the error so that it can directly the action can be taken care of. So that is the usefulness of Splunk. Apart from that, it can also be used for the knowledge objects. This is another thing as well. It has also got a rich interface. So we can also use good dashboards and all those kinds of stuff. So whatever the things by using the database generally people do, by using Splunk only we can do that without having a database. All these things how we are doing without having a database, we are doing just from log files. Remember that, just from the log files, there is no database actually. So just from the log files we are doing, and we will generate superb reports and all by using this Splunk only, just like where the programmatic languages do with the databases and all. So this is the scenario for this Splunk, right? So you have got a basic idea, right? So what is Splunk, where Splunk will be used, why it should be used, what is log files, definition of Splunk, all those things you have got. Have got the idea? Everything is clear? Hello? One can answer, please. Hello?
Clear on my end.
Yeah. So from next subsequent classes, we will deep dive into this Splunk again, and we will be seeing several features and what are the next things and all we'll be seeing from the next classes actually. So if you got any doubts, actually, if you got any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. So so that I can clarify.